Periscope, D Live, Facebook, and YouTube. What's up, everybody? I am James Hake, as you know, and this is the Hake Report. It is Tuesday, September 8th, 2020, 9:02 a.m. We're setting records. U.S. Pacific Daylight Time. You can call in 888-775-3773. And Deuce Vod Forsooth over on D Live reminds us, Canon Hinent. That is the 5-year-old young man. And Skeeter Mills says it too. That is a 5-year-old young man, little boy, who was riding his bike who got shot in the head. Is there an update on that case? I don't know. I haven't been keeping up. But a 25, 26-year-old, I think, black male who was living with his parents, he looked seriously off in his mugshot, shot the dude unprovoked in the head, driving on his lawn, but it was not his lawn. He was living at his parents' house. The neighbor of the father of the young boy. Black on white crime, and that's the sound is a little low, says Jim Justice. How's the sound, everybody? If it's good volume, press 1. If it is too loud, press 2. If it's too quiet, press 3. Buffering, anybody sound, well, I don't know. Let me know, guys. Let me know. 1s, 2s, 3s. What do you guys say? Yeah, I wonder why he killed him. I do not know. I'm going to be talking about other things. I appreciate you guys over on D Live giving me lots of 1s. I don't know what's going on for YouTube. Maybe you need to turn up your thing, whoever told me that it's low. But you guys can call in 888-775-3773. Going to be talking about Naomi Osaka. Such a sucker. She's the black Japanese tennis player, young lady. She's dating a American rapper, and maybe that's the problem. But she wore a Trayvon Martin face mask, coronavirus. She's a great tennis player. Top of her game. Top of the game for females anyway, right? And Trump is more manly than the generals. It's true. Especially the politician-type generals, the multi-star generals. Flynn is a good guy. General Michael Flynn. According to all reports about him, right? All the honest reports about him. I will be getting to your calls, but I got to get started with the show, so let's do it.
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La, la, la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La, la, la.
Hey, guys!
Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La, la, la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La, la, la.
So, apologies to Jim Justice, who says, I hear it, but I have the volume way up. I understand. Maybe you sweat too much inside your phone, because I don't know what happened to my phone, but I have to crank my volume and hold it up to my ear to hear most stuff. So maybe the problem is on your end, or maybe it's our end. We could stand to maybe be a little louder. I don't know. But thank you for the alert. Everybody else seems to be okay with it. But, a lot of people nowadays use Bluetooth speakers or just have loud phones as opposed to this thing. By the way, I can take off my Men's History Month phone cover, although it is a nice phone case. But I will be getting to your calls. Oh, nice. I have multiple people on the line who've called before. If you've called before, excellent. You can call in again. If you haven't called before, you're also welcome. Yeah. I'm going to be talking about Naomi Osaka, but first, I want to deal with, and I may touch on some other things, the New York Slimes accidentally told the truth about the COVID numbers being seemingly overblown, the COVID scare, which I use in the same way that the fake news media calls the Red Scare, referring derogatorily to our stance against communism back in the good old days. Better days, maybe we should call it. I don't know. And, New York City, people are fleeing these liberal towns and running over to Florida, probably going to turn Florida blue. Who knows? But it's a mess. People are so weak now, right now. People are fleeing Los Angeles, I hear, too, and Hollywood, and the West Coast in general. Homelessness out of control, the crime and riots. People are just getting out, including liberals, dumb liberals, which is not a good thing because they're polluting the places where they go. But those of you who are on the receiving end, those of you in Idaho and Texas and everywhere, stand strong. Samuel, no, I don't need Marcus Jones removed from my chat. I don't think. I only removed him from the Bond chat. Thank you, Samuel Forsberg. He's talking about this guy who's a hater. He's a hater who trolls in my chat and Jesse Lee Peterson's chat, and people can't ignore him. And he's made multiple accounts, like more than a dozen. It's ridiculous. No respect for the moderators or the show. No respect. Such a shame. And California, what's up with California? There's supposedly like a power problem, right? When I was growing up, we had a drought that we were dealing with. And every now and then, we talk about, water shortage. And that is the people to blame for that. If we have any water shortages today here in Southern California, it's the people to blame are the governor from Jerry Brown, the predecessor of this beta governor with the beta baby, Gavin Newsom. He didn't, according to what I've heard, he did not build up the reservoirs so that the reservoirs could contain the water that we need here in Southern California. Well, same thing with the power. There's a political power grabby, environmentalist freak out type of oppression going on with the power here in California, pointed out by none other than Kamala Harris, who said back in 2016, I guess she supported Joe Biden back in February of 2016. She was thinking, Joe Biden should be, I don't know. I really don't know. But she tweeted, California ensures that 1/3 of its electricity is from renewable sources, meaning like wind and what else? Solar power and stuff like that. And she wants this type of policy spread nationwide, right? Or so she pretends. I don't think she cares. And then she shared this creepy Joe Biden website plan to secure environmental justice, which is not justice, and equitable, which is a communist word, economic opportunity. And it's all about phony green energy and stuff like that. Such a phony person. And now we have the mayor of Los Angeles yesterday tweeting, it's almost 3 p.m., time to turn off major appliances. Set the thermostat to 78 degrees or use a fan instead. 78 being 78 degrees Fahrenheit, that is. For you European people, maybe you already know what Fahrenheit compares with. But that is well above room temperature. It's like on the high end of comfortable, right? Especially if you're indoors and you don't have a cross breeze. Or use a fan instead, he says. Turn off excess lights and unplug any appliances that you're not using. We need every Californian to help conserve energy. Please do your part. #FlexAlert. Because in the hot heat waves, oftentimes there's these rolling blackouts or brownouts because, I don't know, they can't handle the power grid. The power grid can't handle all the air conditioning that's on and stuff like that, if you have air conditioning in California. You should, but a lot of people don't. Yeah, they don't. They These people these people mismanage the state of California like crazy. But that's a Drudge headline. California power shortage continues. Oh, no, that was a Revolver.news headline. I do read Revolver too, guys. I've strayed away from Drudge. It's not completely gone away from Drudge. I don't know what he's up to. Some of you guys speculate. But I wanted to talk about how President Trump is under fire, and then I will get to calls. Hang tight. President Trump is under fire it's seemingly like a fake controversy, right? But it just shows you, it's really, I like this controversy, but because President Trump doesn't back down, and he doesn't sacrifice any integrity or dignity in defending himself. He defends himself very well. And yesterday, he was addressing what got out with these sleazy journalists citing four anonymous sources, according to the far left Atlantic. And I told you about them. The Atlantic, sleazy, pro-Black Lives Matter, anti-American outlet, claimed that Trump disrespected the troops, calling them losers and suckers. And the word loser and the word sucker are words that President Trump has used. No one honest can imagine Trump referring to innocent and valiant or fallen troops other than John McCain as that. Nobody can honestly believe that. Only the liars can believe it, right? Only the people who already hate Trump, and by definition, that's basically liars. Not honest people, because honest people recognize an honest man, and that's Trump. He's an honest man, which, the left, this is coming from the far left outlet, The Atlantic, by the way, and Trump-hating mainstream media, which shows utter disrespect for normal Americans, for Christians, for decent whites, for conservatives, for people in general, the military in general, the cops in general. And then they just kiss up, oh my gosh, the ways that they try to fact-check Trump at everything, and then they let blacks get away with the craziest lies. I'm going to tell you about Naomi Osaka, who's not even American, by the way, I don't think. But she's dating an American rapper. Oh yeah, by the way, they claim that he didn't want badly wounded, disfigured veterans in the parade or whatever, which, they use stuff that's borderline maybe believable because he likes things to be presented well. But he respects these people and loves these people. Nobody respects and loves the military more than him, and America in general more than him, especially at that level of the government and in the public eye. All those people, they don't have any, it's so phony. So Trump said this story is a hoax. Who would say a thing like that, calling them losers and stuff? Only an animal would say a thing like that, he said, of what the Atlantic falsely attributed to him, right? There's nobody that has more respect for not only our military, but for people who gave their lives, he says. Of course. And it wouldn't be the first time with the anti-Trump fake news. They were, Glenn Greenwald is a sort of an independent journalist, kind of a hit and miss liberal type of a guy, but he writes for The Intercept. I think he might have founded The Intercept, right? And he points out that outlets claiming to have confirmed, I got this from Revolver.news too, outlets claiming to have confirmed Jeffrey Goldberg's story, that's the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, not a Christian, not a decent man, not an honest man, certainly, about Trump's troops comments, are again abusing the vital term confirmed. Because, Fox News, some Fox News female writer, I told you about her, I think Jennifer Griffin or something like that, short-haired lady, whom Neil Cavuto says is a good journalist, but or a good reporter. He talks about Glenn Greenwald reminds us of a 2016 blunder, which maybe you guys missed it, but CNN had the media exploding by claiming that Don Jr. and WikiLeaks were in cahoots based on an email that came in that they said came on the 4th of this particular month, when in reality it had come in the 14th of the month, or vice versa, right? They got the dates wrong, and it turned out to be like, it looked like it was an explosive story of collusion between the Trump campaign and WikiLeaks, right? But it was nothing of the sort. CNN, and yet MSNBC claimed that they confirmed CNN's false story, citing anonymous sources, right? And I told you about how anonymous sources, according to Bill O'Reilly, they always have an agenda, not always known to the reporter. Does the reporter care? If they're Trump haters, they don't. It's funny how they accuse Trump of lying, yet they go crazy with speculation when that's not their job. Their job is to find out the truth. But no, they want to come up with these different facts that lead you to believe something about Trump that is just the furthest from the truth. CNN blamed its anonymous source for the error, ultimately, according to Glenn Greenwald, but refused to out that anonymous source by insisting it was somehow a good faith mistake rather than deliberate disinformation. And somehow the MSLSD or MSDNC, MSNBC, they confirmed that same mistake of the mistaken date. They confirmed it as true when it was not true. And so right on to President Trump saying that the Pentagon brass doesn't love him, but the troops do. And if you can find pictures of James Mattis, James Mad Dog Mattis, and maybe Chief of Staff John Kelly, former Chief of Staff John Kelly, those are supposed generals, right? Trump hired them. We were thinking, yeah, Trump is hiring men, manly men, making America great again. Not, it turned out not to be the case. They ended up being phony, weak, politically correct, female-minded politicians. Rhinos or maybe Democrats. Trump speculated that Mattis might be a Democrat, I think. But just phony. Backstabbers, too. Backstabbers. They both openly smeared President Trump different ways. Foreign policy, and Trump has been pretty good on foreign policy. I think here's a picture of Mattis. There's that guy. He's supposedly the most revered Marine in America. By who? I don't know. He looked like, he looked tough, but it turns out he's not tough. He wrote an op-ed after he quit or was forced out or whatever. He was the Secretary of Defense. He wrote an op-ed, or it was not even really an op-ed, it was a statement. Effectively, it was an op-ed. Politico put it out and others wrote about it back in like June of this year, titled, "In Union There Is Strength." And he basically defended the anti-police riots, I think, downplaying the widespread violence and looting and all that mess, pretending that Black Lives Matter has a leg to stand on, has any valid complaint. They don't. The blacks are their own problem, right? And now that everybody's pretending that it's the cops that are the problem. Nope, it's not. So he quit. He couldn't handle it. And he is a backstabber. And he is a liberal. Not a tough man at all. Not tough. Maybe in his younger days he was tough. Maybe physically he's tough. But in terms of wisdom or knowing what's right or standing on what's right and not betraying the man who made you Secretary of Defense, President Trump, not tough. And anybody who's honestly looking at the situation, I can't imagine that anybody thinks that these guys are being so manly and tough and righteous by turning on the president and pretending that Black Lives Matter is valid, right? It's crazy. So President Trump, he said yesterday, Labor Day press conference, "I'm not saying the military is in love with me, The soldiers are. The top people at the Pentagon probably aren't, because they want to do nothing but fight wars so that all those wonderful companies, Raytheon and whatever else, that make bombs and make the planes and make everything else stay happy. But we're getting out of the endless wars. And Trump rightly has bragged about rebuilding the military because Obama depleted it. He reduced the number of like ships or aircraft carriers or whatever that we had, or nuclear stuff he may have depleted, I don't remember. But I remember watching in 2016 Obama's America that Dinesh D'Souza talked about how Obama just depleted the military. And yet, and you know, he acted like he wanted to bring the troops home. I think he pulled them out of either Iraq or Afghanistan kind of prematurely, leaving a void and for ISIS to build up. He attacked Libya. He called that one of his worst mistakes, or something related to what he did with Libya, one of his worst mistakes. But Libya was the site of the Benghazi terror attack, 9/11 2012. Not 9/11 2001, but it took place on the anniversary of 9/11 2001. It took place on 9/11 2012, the Benghazi terror attack, when they attacked the American embassy or whatever, killed our... Well, it was a homosexual guy who was ambassador to Libya. Wasn't it a homosexual guy who was ambassador to Libya? But this guy had asked for more backup. Hillary was Secretary of State, I believe, back then. Obama was president. Joe Biden was vice president. And they allowed the attack to happen and killed 4 Americans, I believe. Sorry about your volume issues ongoing, Jim Justice. I don't know what it is. Let me know if you figure out that it's on your end or if you don't know. A homosexual in the U.S. government? Yeah, it's true. But Trump rightly called Obama and Hillary the co-founders of ISIS, because the Benghazi situation were like those terror attackers were, I believe, like the precursors to ISIS, according to reporting from the Shubats, Theodore Shubat and Walid, I think it was Walid Shubat. They said, I believe that they said that there were those ISIS-style flags at that situation over in Libya. And after that, ISIS took off. They became a huge power thanks to Obama. And in Afghanistan, Breitbart reported, I remember reading multiple articles, the rules of engagement under Obama, who pretended to love the troops. The rules of engagement were so constrictive, you couldn't even engage the enemy unless they fired at you first. Things like that, right? That may not have been exactly what the rules were, but it was stuff like that. And troops were dying at a greater rate, like 3/4 of the troops, according to one report in the 2015 or 2017. 3/4 of the troops who died in Afghanistan had died not under Bush, who started the war in Afghanistan, right? George W. Bush, but under Obama. So although, you know, you may have some valid criticisms of Bush and his getting into wars, Obama got more of them killed, according to, at least in that area, Afghanistan, I believe, according to some Breitbart reporting. And so Trump has wanted to end the endless wars. Every now and then, Trump will do like an airstrike. He's done like 1 or 2. He did one in Syria, pretending that the Syrian Assad, whatever his name is, gassed his own people or whatever, because there's like this crazy civil war, and foreigners are getting involved in this civil war too. People from Turkey, maybe, according to the former Joel named Andre, who's from generally, he's familiar with some of the goings on in that area, Andre, because he's Armenian. But they have been claiming that, oh, we need to remove, is that guy's name Assad, the guy in charge of Syria? And Trump, he did like a little airstrike. Oh, he did another airstrike in Iran, after Iran allegedly took out some things. I forget what happened, right? But he's done a couple of airstrikes. And every time he does an airstrike, oddly, and I really don't totally get it, honestly, but the media gets like excited, and then the liberal media acts like, oh, he's a leader. What the heck? It's so weird. It's like they want to set him up, like, this is my speculation, right? It's kind of like they want to set him up like they set up George W. Bush to get him into some war so that they could have their nice footage of war and all that stuff and have this feel-good moment, and then right away turn on him and be like, oh, man, Trump is being awful with these wars. He's a warmonger. Oh, he's erratic. Like what they do with Bush. They were comparing him to Hitler and stuff. And yet, Obama was probably worse. Honestly, probably worse. But they let him slide because he's black and liberal, and they are fanboys and fangirls of him. The mainstream media I'm talking about. So that's just my theory. I don't know. They love Bush now because Bush hates Trump. Some don't. Some are really principled, deluded people who, well, I mean, honestly, you don't have to be deluded to not support Bush, because look at how he's turned on the country. He turned on Trump. He turned on the country. I don't even think that I heard, and I don't know if it's true, that he's not supporting President Trump even to this day. Yeah, they even love McCain now that he's dead. Well, actually, they loved him back then, too, because they called him a maverick. As though they know what independent-minded means. They're not independent-minded. They're mindless, brainwashed, socialist, commie-educated people who all think the same and try to force you to think the same. And they out you if you don't. It's crazy. They're disgusting people. So, nice. Yeah, that's my reference. Anytime I say, to this day, it's a reference to this boxer guy who thinks that, racism is a problem for blacks. To this day. To this day. Somebody gave me a tip about it, and I watched it, and Nick already knew about it, so he was chuckling. Maybe someday I'll show it to you. It's a pretty funny interview. But President Trump said, all these companies may be happy if we get into wars. They're definitely happy with Trump that we rebuilt the military and didn't leave it weak. But he wants peace. He's really a man of peace. And he's really a unifier. He called himself a unifier when he was elected. Back in 2016, I believe it was. He called himself a unifier, and that's what he is. And there are a lot of people who have united around what's right. Thanks in part to him, and thanks in part to the disgusting evil media and Democrats and rioters and terrorists, Black Lives Matter and Antifa terrorists, and just Trump derangement syndrome sufferers, some of whom you might be surprised by. Like, you wouldn't think that they would react this way. But that evil reaction against Trump has awakened a lot of people. It's so strange what the media has, this love-hate relationship with war. It's so weird. It's pretty sick. Some of you guys may know why that is more than me. I don't know. But they're never for what's right. Pretty much never for what's right. So Trump rightly claimed credit for rebuilding our stockpiles that he claims were depleted under President Trump. And it's true. The mainstream media calls it, he claims. But they don't qualify when blacks say, there's a genocide against the black race at the hands of cops. That's something that, oh my gosh, I'm going to cover that. That's a little preview to what Naomi Osaka has been saying. This is a tennis player, female. Not to be confused with LeBron James, but just about as female-minded as LeBron James, I would say. Naomi Osaka, this 20-year-old girl. I don't know if she's 20, but She seems to be about that age. So, respect for the military sacrifice becomes a friction point. Yeah, it's such a laughable issue. Oh, there's Naomi Osaka. And she has Elijah McClain. She's been wearing a face mask for a different fake victim every day. Elijah McClain may be a valid victim. I haven't really looked into his story. I think he was the one who was, he had this disease where he got cold, and so he would wear a ski mask in August or July or whenever it was, I don't know. And cops stopped him thinking that something, and somehow he resisted arrest or something. Something weird happened, and he ended up dying. Such a weird situation. But I can't bring myself to be that interested that I really look into it. Because I'm just kind of bored and tired of blacks claiming victimhood when it's not true. And this Atlantic editor, you know, I told you that veterans are supposedly divided over this Trump thing, and then I will get to calls. Hang tight, Cassandra and all you guys. I told you that veterans are supposedly divided over this Trump thing, right? With what he allegedly said against the troops who died or got injured, which is such an obvious lie. Like, it's not even really believable. It's not. Well, there are a growing number of selfish, immoral, brainwashed, emotional, liberal, female-minded, liberal so-called veterans. Whether they're white or whether they're POCs, whether they're illegals. So, did you know that illegals can sometimes serve in our military? I say sometimes, but it might be frequent. And Obama let in the transgenders to openly come in to the military and even help them do their transgender sex reassignment, hormone therapy and surgery and all that mess, disgusting stuff. And not just our military, but also people who are criminals in prisons. They also get that stuff. Sick, huh? And so those are all included amongst our so-called veterans. Do you think those are honestly respectable people who, I mean, they're mildly respectable, but do you think that they really have opinions that are valid? Nope. The general population is not too far below in terms of the quality of people. The veterans, the quality of our veterans has taken a dive. And there's this blind thing. There's the liberals. And even some conservatives have this blind, oh, thank you for your service. Fake respect for the veterans and military that's not based in what they actually did or what type of people they actually are and the validity of what they support. I told you about them putting these parents, so-called Gold Star parents, right? Because their son died in combat or something. He was in the military, this Muslim son. These Muslim parents came to the Democrat National Convention, and the father, Khan, I think his name was, holding a Constitution as if the Democrats have any respect for the Constitution. Ridiculous. And pretending to in your face to Trump. It's silly. It's all politics. Phony. It's like when rhinos put up women and POCs to be conservatives, and they're like, "See, eat that, liberals." Please. So the Atlantic editor, I told you this editor-in-chief, I told you that CNN weird kid, Brian Stelter, hosts this show laughably called Reliable Sources in the extreme left anti-American outlet, The Atlantic's editor-in-chief named Goldberg, right? Not a Christian, like I said, postured as though he's righteous and that he won't be intimidated by the president, as if he's a female to be intimidated by a man. So that's phony. Right on to President Trump. And right on, too, to that guy, Glenn Greenwald, for pointing out the dishonesty and self-importance of the mainstream media, calling stuff confirmed. Oh, we confirmed reporting with anonymous sources. Sleazy people. Let me get to, oh, you know what? Real quick, before I get to Cassandra. Hang tight, Cassandra. Steve 43 gave me a diamond at the very end of my show yesterday. Said thanks. Thank you. Thank you to Jesse Lee Peterson hosting the show, and Honda Bear as well on D Live. Beard the Butcher says, "Hey guys, what's up, Beard? I got to get in contact with you. I will." Noah's Ark, Kansas gave a diamond. Appreciate that. Evgeny Crosby 2020 with a diamond. Naomi Osaka needs to go back to Japan and protest. Interesting. You know, her grandparents didn't like her parents getting together. Her father is Haitian and mother is just Japanese. And they got together in Japan, and she was born in Japan. Haitian. That's like what Joel is. I'm just kidding, Joel. There's this running joke. Well, to me, in my mind, it's a running joke of calling Joel Haitian. That's what Esteban did. Esteban called him Haitian, but he's not Haitian. He's Creole. He's so ignorant. If Jenny Crosby 20, it's kind of like when Jesse Lee Peterson calls Esteban Mexican, even though he's Colombian. Naomi Osaka, yeah. Clifford C. Clavin gave a diamond and said, "What up, Hake? What's up, Clifford? Appreciate the support. Nice to hear from you." Noah's Ark, Kansas says, "Marcus is just mad no one gave congrats on him winning Black Woman of the Year award." Says Noah's Ark, Kansas. Noah's Ark, Kansas is teasing you. Marcus Jones. Evgeny Crosby 2020 with a diamond. Marcus Jones wants to be your third roommate, Hake. Whoa. No thanks. Jimmy DM says, give a Ninjagini, and said, "It is completely obvious that President Trump loves and respects the troops." Yeah, totally. Any honest person will recognize that. Just saying, gave a diamond and said, "The Bushes are traitors." Yeah, you know what? I've heard the same, and I don't doubt it. And, you know, we've heard how they do not support President Trump. They don't like how he manhandled low-energy Jeb and all that stuff. It's crazy. I got to get to Cassandra. I'm going to be checking the streamlabs.com/the Hake Report in the meantime. But hang tight, guys. Appreciate the support. Hot Computer Smell, King Alpha Nerd, Kevin Duggan, and all of you guys. Cassandra out of Arizona. Thank you for holding so long. How are you doing?
Good.
Right on. What's up?
I was just wondering about the protesting that's happening lately.
What were you wondering about them?
People have been, like, violating property and just destroying people's personal property, and I'm confused about it.
You're confused that they would be protesting in the name of...
No, I'm confused. I'm confused to why they're destroying people's places.
Oh. Well, it's honestly... I don't think that it should be confusing once you realize that people are evil. Because people are evil. And a lot of people in America have been poorly raised and trained up by the social media and mainstream media and academia, going to school and stuff, to hate America, hate regular Americans, hate capitalism. Capitalism is when you do business in the country. You have your own business and you're doing business. You work and all that stuff. You provide value to each other, right? And they've been trained to hate police. And so they riot and tear apart people's stuff. Destructive people. They're very poorly raised, angry people. It's kind of an outward manifestation of what's going on in a lot of people, even people who are more outwardly so-called peaceful. Underneath, they get destructive when they get angry. Destructive in many different ways. It's kind of like when you're mad. I don't know if you've ever been mad, but you've tried to get another person mad when you're mad at them. You try to make them mad back. That's kind of what they're doing.
Yeah, I've done that before.
Yeah, it's the same idea. That's what those people are doing. They're trying to spread their misery. Does that make sense?
Well,
Does that make sense?
yes.
Yeah.
But they're like destroying the they're making they're killing the earth, and then they're killing the population because they're killing earth, and then police are killing them, and I'm just confused to why they're doing it.
By killing the earth, what are you referring to? Who's
Like,
killing the earth and how?
Okay, people are destroying parks, destroying houses.
Oh, I
and
see.
And police are killing the population to try and stop the people from protesting, but really they're just raising more protesters because they're killing off all these black people.
But that's some false information that you've gotten there with the police, because I don't believe that police have killed any protesters. They have killed people incidentally who have been either get on their way to their death already by overdosing on drugs or resisting arrest and fighting with the cops. They get themselves in these high stress situations. And a lot of blacks, for some reason, you know how blacks complain about racism more than anybody else, and they imagine that police are racist against them. Well, and they also many of them have experience with jail, and once you get a taste of jail, I guess, they don't want to go back. And so they are willing to take risks that normal people who haven't been trained poorly trained in these ways would not take. They put their own lives in their hands when they fight with the police and resist arrest and run from the cops and attack cops and carry guns and shoot at police and steal tasers and fire the tasers at the cops and all kinds of things these blacks are doing. And so that's what's going on. The cops are, the killings of blacks by police is actually at probably a historic low, honestly, per capita anyways. Yeah, it's at a low point. It's probably maybe even too low, because there are some people who are getting away with crimes that should not be getting away with it. It's really an injustice to the communities that those police are serving. But the police, in some cases, their hands are tied, and in some cases, the cops are just protecting their own jobs, because anytime a cop shoots or kills a black, there's automatically going to be speculation that it was an unwarranted killing or shooting, when most of the time it's turned out to be a justified shooting. Most of the time, including when they're so-called unarmed. Unarmed does not tell you the whole story. When blacks kill an unarmed man, whatever the race they are, that's still not enough information to say whether it was a justified shooting or not, or killing or not. Yeah. Such is the case with this guy who was high on PCP, which is a crazy drug. He was running the streets naked. According to Wikipedia, this man, he was either 29 or 41 or whatever. This man over in, I forget which city it was, there's so many. He jumped head first down some stairs before Rochester, New York. This guy who was naked and had a hood over his head because he was spitting allegedly on cops at the height of the coronavirus scare, right? Cops put a hood over his head, and he got himself dead. And people claim that the police killed him. I'm not so sure. I think he was already on his way out. So it's just that they're using every instance of cops versus black, and in some cases cops versus Hispanic, because those are two false victim groups. Honestly, they're more perpetrator groups. They're the ones who are committing the most crimes and hating the police more than whites and Asians and even Jewish people.
Yeah, but I've seen some videos of police arresting people.
Yeah.
And what they're doing, they're arresting people, and it's not really stopping the protesting. Not
Right.
stopping the protesting, even though they're like imprisoning all sorts of protesters.
Yeah. And part of the problem is there are so many people who are this blind and brainwashed as to think that the cops are the problem for the blacks and not the blacks themselves, their own behavior. And so there's so many people that it's overwhelming. And on top of that, in these liberal towns, they are catching these so-called protesters and rioters, really. Most of them are rioters that they're arresting. And they're having to release them because of these liberals who run these local areas. Liberals are soft on crime, soft on criminals, and hard on the innocent and on the authorities, the law enforcement. So they have it backwards. They let people get away with small crimes, and when you let people get away with small crimes, bigger crimes crop up too. So there's these feel sorry for the poor criminal victims mindset of leaders who feel sorry for the protesters and they believe the lies of racism. So they're letting the protesters go, the rioters go, when they shouldn't be letting them go. That's partly what you're seeing. You're seeing people get arrested, but they're not really being, they're not staying in jail. They're getting right out. Yeah. So does that change your view at all of what's going on?
Actually, it does by a lot.
Nice.
I thought police were imprisoning a lot of protesters, but now that you tell me, now I know that they're not imprisoning all these protesters.
Right.
But they're letting them go, and protesters are still destroying people's property.
Yep. And that's not even a right word to call them protesters, since they're destroying property. That's not a protest. That's a riot. That's destructive.
Yeah.
They're you could call them agitators or rioters. But you'll notice that the mainstream media keeps on calling them protesters. So a lot of us by habit will call them protesters, but that's not what they are. They're really kind of enemies of civilization. They're not acting civilized by destroying. That's not civilized. So they're enemies of civilization. They are, they're just full of rage and blindness and evil.
So you can call them protesters or whatever, but they're just really rioters?
Yeah, the ones who are getting themselves arrested. Some of them are just, standing in the wrong place and they're refusing to leave. They're not necessarily destroying, but they're being obstinate and they're covering for the people who are rioting. And they have no reason to be out there. So there's some people who are not necessarily destroying, right? But yeah, these people don't really, you'll notice, like, based on what I told you, you'll notice that they don't even really have a valid reason to be out there protesting.
Yeah, they don't really have a reason.
Yeah. How old are you, Cassandra? How old are you now?
Oh, I'm 10. My birthday was in July.
Wow, mine too. Happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. Happy birthday.
Thank you. Well, it's nice to hear from you again.
Yeah, it was nice to hear from you again, too.
Any parting thoughts?
Not really.
How's school been for you amid this so-called coronavirus thing?
It's getting harder, and I have to do it on a Chromebook at home, and I don't really like doing schoolwork at home.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
It's just hard to do.
It's hard to concentrate.
Like, I could do the same work at school, and it'd be easier.
Right. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So I can't wait to go back to school and see all my friends and actually do schoolwork at school.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Well, I appreciate your call, Cassandra. Good to hear from you again.
Yeah, it's been good.
All right, take care.
You too. May God be with you.
Thank you. Same to you.
Thank you.
That's nice. Fan of the lady says, I thought I was so old at 10, and I hear this kid Woof, just babies. No, I mean, I think that you were old enough at 10 to know a little bit of stuff. You know, we were pretty independent at 9. At 9, I was independent. At 7, I was a little independent. 8, 5 even. They want to keep us, it seems like the mainstream culture wants to keep us immature. To where they're calling Trayvon Martin a kid. He's just a kid. And he was not a kid. He was a grown, almost a legal adult. Trayvon Martin, the thug who got himself killed in self-defense. But the mainstream media doesn't want to correct the record or the slander against, or the libel against George Zimmerman. George Zimmerman has enough issues without being called a murderer falsely. Hake, get on Entropy. Much better donation service, says Winston Fujimori. Ah, good to hear from you again, Winston. Appreciate the tip. Entropy. Yeah, I've been meaning to look into that. Thank you. Better than Streamlabs? I've heard that Streamlabs has banned... Did they ban Jaden McNeil? I think that they banned Nick Fuentes. I think that that's true. No respect for truth or freedom or anything. Uncle Hake red-pilling the youth. I salute you, says Winston Fujimori. Appreciate that. Thank you. Joe Maddock gave a Ninjagini A++++ for the explanation to the young girl caller. Thank you, Joe Maddock. Appreciate that. Yeah, she's cool. And she called with permission, people. Anybody who's trying to tattle on a 10-year-old calling into the Hake Report. See, I told you guys, I like to keep it family-friendly. All you doubters who call in with cuss words and inappropriate language and comments. We do have children or child-friendly stuff. Oh, man. Okay. You know what? Let me get to Art in Ohio. We could use some lively energy right now. Art, before I get to the top of the hour break. Art in Ohio, how are you doing?
Hey, how you doing, hey?
I'm doing fine. What's up?
Oh, so quick question. I was just trying to see what exactly you were saying about. You said when Obama pushed that bill to let transgenders come into the military and the state and the citizens have to pay for them to get their sex jobs done. You said that the people that's in jail, they slid. They passed when they passed that bill. They also had that when people go to jail that they can have their sex changed too.
You know what? I don't know if it was even a bill. I don't know the specifics of how they worked it out, but I think that it may even be a perversion of the already perverted anti-discrimination laws, such as like the one of these dumb civil rights acts, right, where you can't discriminate based on race, gender, blah blah blah. They added in like sexuality and gender identity into that, which you're supposed to discriminate on anything that is right? You're supposed to be discriminating for what's right.
What's wrong and what's right. You're supposed to be able to discriminate and distinguish right, and that's you're exactly right. But my problem is where I'm seeming to have a problem, and I'm having a lot of problems with these liberals understanding is how come you can't see that somebody passing or Obama passing that law on, and which is already confusing about somebody letting somebody cut on them to change how God made them originally. That should already tell you that ain't natural and that's not right and he's not right.
Yeah.
Let alone what does somebody have sex change have to do with whether you can shoot a rifle, whether you can fight, whether you can bend down, stand up, jump, hurdle, go over a wall. What's that have to do with your physical and your brain functional capability about you and a sex change? And why do American people have to fund your messiness and your dysfunction?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they were doing these drag shows in the military. Yeah. I remember videos coming out where they were doing drag shows. You know, because...
you got...
You know, it's
Go ahead,
like, it's kind of bad enough where the military, sometimes they have these, like, I don't know, they get involved and have sex with, according to like the movies, right? Have sex with prostitutes when they're overseas and strippers and all that stuff. I don't know how much of that is true, but if that's true, that would kind of led into this degeneracy. Goes from evil grows, you know? You allow a little evil, it becomes a lot of evil. And so that's
exactly.
Yeah, it's pretty awful. Go ahead.
So look, I had a little disagreement with my liberal cousin or whatnot.
Yeah.
And what I already figured out about these liberals, since they can't beat me verbally with their tongue and with their brain and articulate themselves when they speak and basically prove me wrong and make me get on their side and agree with them, they'd rather fight me. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So my cousin tells me, keep in mind he came from a single parent home just like I did.
Okay.
Raised by a mom. He tells me that men don't argue, they fight. I said, what? I said, what? Who told you that?
That's funny.
That's so beta mentality for the simple fact that
of course
if you
they
always
argue.
Exactly, and it's not even got to even be an argument. It could be a debation, a debate. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
And you just trying to figure out something. And my thing is this: if two men can't come to an agreement, and you mean to tell me they should go ahead and put their hands on each other, or they shouldn't be able to talk, and they should go ahead and resort to guns, and they can't talk, and they should resort to bombs, then I'm pretty sure America wouldn't be built up to be the greatest country that it is right now if all men did was go around and fought and killed each other before they even came to an agreement about something. You see what I'm saying?
People get some crazy ideas, huh?
People get, and you know what? It ain't any crazy idea. It's really these single parent homes and these communist views. They don't have no sense. And then I'm gonna hit you with one more thing.
All right.
Have you noticed that? See, I'm 33, so back when I was 21 and I was in the streets, I would be doing my little thing in the streets, and I wouldn't have to have really no gun on me. You see what I'm saying? Because people knew that I knew where to go get them at. You see what I'm saying? All the people I was hanging around, they had them. You see what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
So, okay, so bam, now you got this generation now. These dudes is 18, 19, beta as heck, raised by their mama, confused. They don't even know how to shoot no gun, don't know how to cock it or nothing, barely. Long story short, they just got guns. Got guns just to walk to the dang on corner store. You see what I'm saying? You got a gun just to go to Kroger's. You got a gun just to go to the gym. You see, the only thing I'm not saying it's a problem.
I've heard stuff like this before. Even in the 90s, Jesse Lee Peterson had his 90s TV show. Like 1998, there was a gangster who turned into a HIV/AIDS education advocate. And he's talking about, the gangsters from when I was there as a gangster were different from the ones present day. And present day back then was in the late 90s. And it's kind of the same as what you're talking about, where they're just escalating. They're escalating quicker than they need to.
What they say on this side, we speak hate and we don't know what we talking about, or you don't at the hate show and allegedly from art coming out of his mouth. Well, let me go ahead and drop some jewels on these young black dudes who might not agree with me, probably don't like me because of how I talk, and I don't agree with a lot of stuff they agree. Well, first of all, if you out here running around carrying these dang on guns and you 18 and you 19, and you really don't have the concept of life, you see what I'm saying? Because you have to have the mindset that you know it all, and you probably in the hood or whatnot, the chances are before you communicate and figure things out, the first thing you will want to do is come to use the gun. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then not only that, when cops roll up on you, since you're not used to having no gun and they tell you to put your hands up, you end up turning into a lot of these people that they don't understand when the cops tell them to put their hands up, they put them down. When they cops tell them to put their hands down, they put them up. So you put yourself in an instant second, blinking second of eye to where you might lose your life. These guns ain't no joke.
Right.
It's only a split second The cops want to go home and the criminals want to go home. So if you got a dang on gun and you young and you don't know how to listen or know how to use them, you don't have the concept of life, buddy, you're done out here because these cops ain't your daddies and they ain't playing. And I'm not playing with you neither. I can't have with no gun, but I'm damn sure I ain't going to play with you.
Yeah. Wow, what a shame.
Yeah. And then
and they're more female-minded than ever. The young people.
They are more. I'm about to say one more thing. I'm gone. You know what I'm starting to realize too, with a lot of what you just said, they so female-minded and raised by these females. The females are now. They know it. The females know it. Even the young ones and the old ones know it. That the males are so beta mindset that they can tell them what to do and they will do it.
Right.
So now you got all the men. They don't even listen to the grown men. They only listen to the females. Shout out to that little young lady who just called. She listens very, very, very good or whatnot. She's trying to understand what's going on, but she's just like I was saying. She's young. She got a long life ahead of her, and she need to enjoy and stay in the kids' place and enjoy life. She'll get it. I'm pretty sure her parents are smart if they listening to you. They get it, and the kids will get it. You be blessed, Hake. You be blessed, Hake.
Thank you, Art. Appreciate it, man. Take care.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm going to get to a first-time caller, Jim in Washington, D.C., and then Rick after the break. I'm going to do a quick break, just 2 or 3 minutes or so, hopefully. And then I will be back shortly. I do have to cover this Naomi Osaka, a sucker. She's spreading mess, and the mainstream media is complicit. I mean, we all know that the mainstream media is what Trump says, the enemy of the people. They really are the enemy of even the blacks that they pretend to simp for, right? And, of course, the enemy of whites and all decent people, Christians and real Americans. All right, guys, hang tight we're already into hour 2, but hang tight. I'll be back in just a few. What's up, everybody? It is 10:06 a.m. here in Los Angeles. It is the Hake Report, going into hour 2, and I'm going to be presenting to you about this Naomi Osaka tennis player woman. You were hearing over the last few weeks, I guess, last month, I guess you would say, about the dumb boycotts by the professional athletes. And they're trying to invade hockey. They've already done it. They've done it to the Kentucky Derby. They're trying to do it to the Kentucky Derby, which took place this weekend. It was postponed due to the COVID scare and the Chinese virus scare, right? And they did it to the NBA, which is disgusting now. Just disgusting. The NFL, I believe. Major League Baseball, even. And other places. Well, Naomi Osaka is a tennis player, and she's like probably the best female tennis player right now. She even beat Serena Williams a year or two ago. I saw this tweet that was a screenshot of a tweet shared on Telegram. I'm on Telegram, the Hake Report, and follow Jesse Lee Peterson on Telegram at JLP Talk, by the way, guys. Telegram is a nice alternative social media outlet. It's kind of cool. But Stefan Molyneux, you know how his Twitter account went down? But there was a Telegram associated with putting out all of his tweets, and now it just puts out other stuff, right? I don't even think it's related to Stefan Molyneux, right? Who is a host, a podcast host who's interviewed Jesse Lee Peterson many times, been interviewed by Jesse. But this account shared this tweet by Rogan O'Handley at DC_Drano. And he points out, when you've got corporate media, every professional sport, Hollywood, social media establishment, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all them, censorship algorithms, major corporations, music industry, academia, celebrities, all supporting your so-called movement. I put so-called. You're not oppressed. On the contrary, you're actually the oppressor. And that's what he tweeted out August 31st. It's a fair point. That's why I chuckle when my friends who used to be like punk rock share these black squares on Instagram for Blackout Tuesday, which was, I guess it took place during, was that Men's History Month or White History Month? Blacking out for Black Lives Matter. I have like these friends who are like supposedly independent-minded, not falling for the mainstream, not trendy, sharing this trendy thing. And I just laugh at it. And I got blocked. Longtime friend of mine too. At least one of my Hake Report account got blocked because I replied LOL. Because that's all I could do was laugh. I was like shocked by this guy supporting a male too. Male, nearly 40 years old, supporting this thing. The Black Lives Matter simps. So I'm going to talk about that. But first, I want to get to Jim in Washington, D.C. He's a first-time caller. Been on hold for some time now. And hang tight, Rick, and the rest of you guys. You can call in. There's a line open, 888-775-3773. But he has a funny story regarding his trash man, I guess, which I'm not sure what it's about. But what's up, Jim?
Hey, great show. I love you, man.
Thank you.
I love you and Jesse.
Right on.
I just wanted to bring it back to Skip World. Back where the chicken bones are. I'm taking my trash can out on the day after Labor Day because the trash man has Labor Day off.
Right. Yeah.
And I was late, and they were about a block and a half above me. And, I live on a private road, so I have to go half a block to get the trash can to the curb.
Wow.
Because they don't go up my road. Anyway, and I see they pass, and what I usually do is I go across the street and take my trash can, so when they come back out of the neighborhood, they got to pick it up.
Smart. Very smart.
And look at this guy. He thinks he's slick.
Oh, they caught you.
Yeah. The two trash men, the two black guys, and they're looking at me. I'm white. I'm like, oh yeah. I wave at them, and they're like, "You better leave us 2 Gatorades."
Wow.
Right, and I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, I'm not going to let these guys tell me what to do. But then I realized it was part of this division that is in my mind because of the politicizing today.
Right.
And I thought about it, and I realized, these two guys are just taking trash out, and I would love to have a Gatorade on my way back. And I did it, and I put some ice on them, put a bag on the trash can, and darn if they didn't bring my trash can halfway up the private road, and it just made me feel good about humanity.
That is so white.
All I want to say.
Well, that's nice. Black
out.
men working in D.C. That's cool. Because D.C. can be rough, I hear. I can be very nice in some areas and very rough in others.
Well, yeah, it's the attitude. We know.
Right. Well, it's not just attitude. There's outright violent crime in D.C. Unsolved murders like crazy.
I'm a big guy, Hake. I grew up in D.C. I went to public school in D.C.
Wow.
And almost made it to high school, but I moved to the suburbs in PG County. Oh, much better, right, Hake?
I would think. That would be my guess. Were you a minority?
School,
You were a minority over there?
They were scared of me.
They were scared of you?
Yep.
Interesting.
Well, when you're 6'2" and got muscle,
Right on.
It's not hard.
Yeah. Well, thank you for this story, Jim.
Really
Very nice.
appreciated them doing that because they didn't have to bring that trash can back up. They could have just taken the Gatorade and been gone.
Yeah.
But they showed appreciation. I really appreciated that. That's all I got to say, Hake.
Well,
All
that's
right.
cool, man. Peace on earth.
All right.
Take care, man. Good to hear from you. So, this woman would ordinarily be a nice woman. This Naomi Osaka. And I had a different impression of her too. And I think it's because I read in Wikipedia about this girl a little bit. Well, a young lady, right? That she is dating a rapper. And I saw on her Twitter feed that she loves this rapper guy, a American rapper. Probably an anti-American rapper, my guess, based on how she's behaving. Reminds me of the ridiculous simp, Colin Kaepernick, who's dating a woman who's older than him. She's like Egyptian Muslim, and he's like, I don't know what. He was adopted. And ever since he started dating this radical liberal Muslim female, he turned all SJW and betrayed the country and the military and the flag and falsely accused cops of murder. What an evil person. And misleading the young. That's what this young lady is doing too. She's a misled person misleading others. And The Hill, I got this from The Hill. Naomi, September 7th, right? So Naomi Osaka, I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name right? Wears a mask bearing Trayvon Martin's name at the U.S. Open and advances to the quarterfinals, right? And this is a Getty Images. And it's by this woman named Eris Foley. So the article reads, professional tennis player Naomi Osaka donned a mask bearing the name of Trayvon Martin ahead of her open match on Sunday, right? The recent round she won is the fourth round in which she wore a mask bearing the name of a black, capital word, black. Oh, this is the woman. No wonder. Once I saw this, say no more. In fact, there's not even a bio for this lady. There's no bio. It's just a photo. And you see the photo, that's the bio. That's all you need to know. This Eris Foley, however you pronounce it, is a light-skinned, I presume to be black female, because she's light-skinned enough that you're not quite sure, but she probably is part black, light-skinned black, with a big old frizzy, poofy, afro-type black female natural hairstyle thing on her. And she's wearing a professional-looking shirt thing and glasses. Does she have blue eyes like Jesse Lee Peterson? She does? Blue eyes? It looks like she might have blue eyes, like JLP. but not as smart as JLP. Wow, those might even be green or gray or light. But anyway, this woman writes, capitalizes the word black. Evil is what it is, says white Chris, and he's right. Of course, I guess the standard for the liberal influence, communist subverted, anti-American, anti-white subverted journalism rules is to capitalize the word black, referring to the race now. This is a new thing, relatively. I mean, you've been seeing it on Black Twitter with these disgusting people like Feminista Jones, who's been on the Jesse Lee Peterson show before and just totally betrayed him. Just an evil, angry black female woman. Been capitalizing the word black forever. But it's a new thing that it's a journalistic standard, right? For journalism writing. Martin is the unarmed, this is what Eris Foley, the black female reporter for The Hill, writes. And I don't know who her editor is that let this slide. Trayvon Martin is the unarmed black teenager who was killed by George Zimmerman in Florida in 2012. In self-defense. If I were the editor, I would have put that in. Killed by George Zimmerman in self-defense in Florida in 2012. Because all the evidence points, including eyewitness evidence, that Trayvon Martin was grounding and pounding on George Zimmerman, and it was in self-defense. Osaka has warned, but the blacks, they don't believe in innocent unless proven guilty. They believe if a black got killed, it was a vicious, racist murder by a white Hispanic, George Zimmerman, who voted for Obama. And speaking of kissing up to the blacks, I mean, didn't he tutor black kids and all kinds of stuff. Osaka has worn similar masks in the name of Ahmaud Arbery, who is the guy who they were trying to do a citizen's arrest, this retired officer, detective, and his son and a third man down in, I forget where, in this beautiful white suburb, well-to-do suburb, where Ahmaud Arbery was looking around at a house that was still finishing up construction. And he was on this property trespassing, despite signs saying, no, don't do it. Caught on camera. They claim nothing was taken. Maybe, maybe not. But they tried to do a citizen's arrest. They had reasonable suspicion that he had committed a crime, so they did a citizen's arrest. They tried to do a citizen's arrest. These white guys, right? And he ran from them. They headed him off. And he attacked very foolishly, very foolhardy. And it's not the first time he's been erratic around men with guns, authority figures with guns. Attacked the guy with the shotgun, the son. The son, either the gun goes off and kills him or he shoots him in self-defense, right? So Ahmaud Arbery got himself killed. I don't know if those guys did wrong or not, but that's a fake black victim, right? Elijah McClain, I told you about him earlier today. I think he's a sickly young man, was a sickly young man, wore a ski mask in the middle of the day to keep warm or something. I think it was the middle of the day. I didn't really look that deeply into it, but somehow an arrest went wrong. Huh. Very frequent, actually. Very frequent that arrests go wrong with blacks who just act erratic. And I don't know what was this guy's problem. I don't know. Breonna Taylor, who was she might have been a criminal suspect herself, but she was dating at least one drug dealer. And then another man, was she sleeping with him outside of marriage? I don't know. But police stormed what the mainstream media claims was her apartment, and she was caught in the crossfire. They claimed without evidence that they shot her while she was sleeping. I doubt she was still sleeping when her boyfriend is firing his gun, at the officers who he claims he thought were intruders. I doubt that she was still sleeping. She was caught in the crossfire, right? But Naomi Osaka said earlier this month that she had 7 masks in total for each of the rounds in case that she goes on and continues. It looks like she might. So I have 7, and it's quite sad that 7 masks isn't enough for the amount of names. So hopefully I will get to the finals and you can see all of them, she said at the time. She's wearing Breonna Taylor. Oh, and this is what she tweeted late Sunday this week. She remembers Trayvon's death clearly. I remember Trayvon's death clearly, she tweeted out just this past Sunday. I remember being a kid and just feeling scared. I know his death wasn't the first, but for me it was the one that opened my eyes to what was going on. No, your eyes are not open, young lady. To see the same events happening over and over still is sad. Things have to change. So she tweeted that out. No correction from the Hill. No correction from the mainstream media. She sat out of the semifinals match Wednesday of last week. I told you about it, or maybe 2 weeks ago, Wednesday. She announced it, and on Thursday, she sat out the semifinals. And in response, the simping, kissing up to the blacks, kissing up to the false idea of racism, tennis officials postponed all stuff, and then she came back and suffered no consequences for blowing off her thing. And she put out a statement saying, she tweeted this out, but it was a screenshot of her write-up. Before I am an athlete, I am a black woman. As a black woman, I feel there's much more important matters at hand than tennis, right? That need my attention, that need immediate attention rather than me watching me play tennis. And so she called out what she called the continued genocide of black people at the hand of police. She called it a genocide at the hand of police. Police kill 40 or 50 blacks a year. I don't know. Maybe it's more than that. Maybe it's 100 or 200 or 300 blacks a year. Maybe from resisting arrest. Yes, real genocide, lady. How many abortions are by black females and their so-called doctors who did a Hippocratic oath to do no harm, right? She says, I'm exhausted of having a new hashtag. It was 9 last year? I don't know. Oh, unarmed blacks, right? Yeah. Yeah, unarmed blacks. If you count the armed ones, then it's more, right? And most of those are justified. Unarmed doesn't mean unjustified. 8 of 9 were resisting. She says, I'm exhausted of having a new hashtag pop up. This is what all the blacks say. This is exhausting. We're tired. So phony. I'm extremely tired of having the same conversation over and over again. When will it ever be enough? She said in a statement then. Don't worry your pretty little head because you don't know what you're talking about, Naomi. And other sports. This was all in reaction to Jacob Blake's shooting, which he resisted arrest. He had a knife, and a taser didn't work, and he had a warrant for some crazy crimes, allegedly. Crazy crimes since July, and it was in August, I think, when he was captured. And they claim that he was partially paralyzed last month after being shot several times. This is the Hill writing. That same black female that I showed you with the blue eyes, or gray. Evil eyes, really. Several times in the back at close range by police in Kenosha, Wisconsin. It was 4 times. It was 4 times. But the fake news like to call it 7 because it sounds worse. Yahoo Sports reports that she will keep up the racial injustice awareness with masks. They falsely said that she was shot while sleeping. Breonna Taylor, one of the false victims. By the way, Naomi Osaka put out fake news herself. She tweeted in June, this page will only have good vibes from now on. And yet she's tweeting out victimhood about Trayvon Martin. It's pretty disgusting to have a mask, pretty morbid actually, to have a mask with dead black criminal suspects being pasted across your face. What a disgrace. How far tennis has fallen that these people are allowed. This is a de facto affirmative action where they're just given a green light And she was honestly surprised that she was able to pull this stuff on the sport that she plays. But it's because she's a POC female, a black female woman, that she's been treated with these kid gloves. You know, she boycotted her tournament, and they postponed the whole thing, throwing everybody off, by the way. People, other athletes were ready to play, and they're like, they stopped it for her. And for, of course, you know, a bunch of other fake journalists, fake social justice athletes, also boycotted in other sports, right? Like I told you. New York Times talks about how she came back after boycotting, and they didn't kick her out, and she wore a Black Lives Matter t-shirt with a communist anti-white fist on her t-shirt. What a sick woman. She's not even American, I don't think. Her father Haitian, her mother Japanese. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they've come back and claimed to be Americans. But Black Lives Matter she's wearing, and all these phony things. She plays for Japan. Crazy. And Reuters and New York Slimes say Osaka has been outspoken on the issues of systemic racism and police brutality because they push this lie. They push this lie of police brutality. It doesn't exist. They said she's drawing attention to police violence against black people, capital Black, following the shooting of Jacob Blake. She was following the lead of NBA's Milwaukee Bucks, the WNBA, which is the women's professional basketball, which I don't know how they still exist, probably based on affirmative action. I can't imagine that they're making a lot of money. Maybe they are making enough money to float. It seems like they might be operating at a loss. Does anybody... Anyways, I remember when they started. Major League Soccer, baseball, and others were boycotting their sports. I felt I needed to raise my voice. And this was, tennis officials were wondering, how does tennis need to react to the sudden attention to the shooting of Jacob Blake? Why not wait until all the evidence is out, until you declare this an injustice or not? Wait until it's out. But no, they want to assume, ASSUME, that it was an unjustified shooting. Looks justified to normal thinking people. Looks justified. And even if it doesn't to you, just wait and see. But no, they want to hurry up and protest over the phony idea that blacks are victims. It's so phony, so phony. So 2 hours later, officials, after she declares this on Twitter, the officials cave in and kiss up to this dumb, young, blind, brainwashed female. Such a shame. Women in politics. She says, I don't feel I am being brave. She's not. I just feel like I am doing what I should be doing. I'm sure she feels, I would imagine she might feel that way. Don't you feel righteous, self-righteous when you're doing wrong? Frequently? When you're on your own ego trip? You do feel like you're doing the right thing sometimes. You feel so right. You feel self-righteously angry, right? But it caught other people off guard. They call her one of the leading voices in sports for civil rights. By the way, she flew to Minneapolis after the George Floyd thing. George Floyd being the guy who was high on fentanyl and had meth in his system and resisted arrest for several minutes, but they didn't show that part. And everybody pretended that, oh, it's so horrifying, the knee on the neck. Systemic racism and police brutality are real. So fake. I had to show that. By the way, I saw this headline on, speaking of blacks are perps and not victims. I got this headline, just a headline, and then I will get to Rick and the rest of you guys. New York City's East Village, this is from revolver.news. Group of, and it's funny that they call it this, a group of teens, sucker punch a 74-year-old woman in the face. Speaking of Black Lives Matter, and I don't know what race the woman was. It doesn't matter because they're vicious against everybody. They have a special hatred for whites because they're blind and brainwashed to hate whites, thinking the whites hate them when it's the other way around. But crazy, huh? It's teens, right? Teens, black teens. Even Revolver.news can't say black teens or blacks, black teens. They have to call them teens. Following the lead. I mean, it does make the headline longer if you add the word black in there, but it goes to 2 lines, so might as well put black in there. But they don't want to look racist. Revolver.news. I think Drudge would always call them teens as well. Teens. You know, because so frequently, black teenagers in particular are especially violent, doing unprovoked attacks on elderly, vulnerable people, innocent people. They'll attack whites, they'll attack Jews, they will attack women, they will attack people in wheelchairs, they'll attack Asians. It's crazy. We showed you remember that dancing white boy kid over in, I forget what city that was in. He was dancing. He has a black teacher. They're dancing outside, doing this hip-hop dance weird thing. Lanky 12-year-old or 13 or 14-year-old young man, but not like a grown man type of thing. This black dude, full grown, sneaks up behind him, knocks him out. Well, I don't think he actually knocked out. Yeah, you know, young people are a little bit more durable. They can take a hit and get back up, even if they are skinny sometimes. But he was dazed, just sucker punched. And that was amid all these fake, false outrage over racism. Crazy. Let me get to Rick in Hampton, Virginia. He wants to bring up the Cardi B versus Candace Owens thing. I told you guys a little bit about that. I'm backing up Candace Owens on at least the substance of Cardi B is part of the problem, disintegrating of the black culture, and so honestly is Joe Biden. He's a disgusting person. He feeds... Anyway, I got to get to Rick. He feeds the false lies of, racism. Oh. And he's such a phony, emotional person. He is like, he wishes he could be as genuine and real. That's the same thing, right? As genuine as President Trump is with people. Anyways, Rick, out of Hampton. How are you doing? Are you there?
James, my brother, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Coming in a little rough, but it's all right, I think. What's up?
Yeah, you know, man, another thing, man. I want to comment on that Cardi B on Candace Owens
So let me just tell the people.
Also,
let me just tell the people. Cardi B, just so those who aren't familiar, right? Is there a sound clip for the sucker punch? No, I'm not going to show that again. I mean, we can pull it. You want to pull it up? I might as well. Have I played it? I think I have. The sucker punch. It's going to take some digging. I just brought it up because I was thinking about it. I just wanted to show the headline, and then this is not the first time. It happens over and over and over and over and over again. It's like, it's almost as like, sorry, Rick. It's almost like the fake black victims of police violence. That's almost how I feel about seeing teens, blacks, knocking people out and being violent with them. It's like, oh, another case. I lost track of how many there are because it's so frequent. So false victims, real victims. They all are a blur in my mind. It's common. That happened a few months back. Anyway, Rick, Cardi B, I'm just going to explain to the people. Cardi B is a female, Puerto Rican, black type of New York stripper turned rapper thing. And then Candace Owens is a former liberal, I guess, turned somewhat conservative and standing in some cases for what's right with regard to getting past this black degeneracy, right? That Cardi B stands for. And Cardi B interviewed Joe Biden. Joe Biden, who's running for president, made a fool of himself being interviewed by this disgusting, really slutty type of, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, I'm pretty sure she's not a modest young lady, Cardi B, was interviewed by her. So, Rick, they've been catfighting each other online.
Well, you know what, Jay? I wouldn't call that catfighting. It's just like a standard debate. You know, like anytime you have a discussion with a liberal, you know, the liberals just go off.
I don't think that they've
screaming.
Have they even conversed in real time at all, other than just making comment tweets and video messages about each other?
No. If I'm not mistaken, they had like a debate what I saw on Brandon Tatum videos.
Oh, okay.
So I
wasn't aware.
Don't hold me to that.
If so, maybe
I
maybe
think
not.
They did have like and she was, and you know, as Candace Owens, she's always very calm and trying to present her evidence. But as always, when you get into a discussion with a liberal, that's the reason why they say you can't discuss politics. Yeah, with liberals, because they start screaming and jumping all over the table.
Right. Yeah.
And she started getting a little out of control.
You dropped there, Rick. I don't hear you. Rick. Lost Rick.
Can you hear me?
There you are.
Hello?
What did you do? Yeah, I hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you sort of staticky. Could be on my end. I apologize for that.
No problem, Rick. What was the last thing you were talking about? She was getting out of control, referring to Cardi B.
Yeah, getting out of control. Just trying to call her. You on a plantation of President Trump and stuff like that's what most liberals do, saying, and they the ones on the plantation. You know the thing about it, a lot of black people have good hearts, but they just ignorant. Like I said, they only get their news from CNN. That's it. They don't research hardly anything.
I don't know how many blacks have good hearts that are CNN suckers. I imagine that there are. I imagine that there are. There's got to be more, right? There's got to be a decent amount, because no other race votes 96, 98, 95% for the Democrat. No other race does. So that's a pretty far gone. That's a pretty far gone. I
totally agree with you.
Yeah, that group is pretty far gone, right? And so you have to assume.
I say that too,
I was
Jay.
thinking about this. You have to assume that there must be some people that have a little bit of decency that can be awakened in them, or whatever, that they just never got any truth. They grew up in a utter sea of lies. No matter where they went, home, their parents. Oh, we have to talk about racism. Their schools, their churches, their social media, their mainstream media, Naomi Osaka, LeBron James, Al Sharpton, Barack Obama.
Oh, God.
All those people, imagine you grew up in that world. I can't even really imagine. We weren't even interested in race stuff. Yeah. Maybe you're right. Maybe there's some who are just sincerely.
It's just that they misguided.
Blind. Yeah.
And it starts with first their parents that be putting in, the white man got his feet on your neck. It starts with the parents. It goes from the parents to the Black Baptist churches, which they put that in their heads too. Then after the black churches do their damage, then it comes to the public schools putting their damage into the black kids. And after the public schools do it, then the NAACP and the Urban League put their damage. And after the Urban League and the NAACP, then it's their friends. They constantly hear it's like there's no hope from them unless they have a strong father that from that. And a lot of like I always said, the black community has 70% of kids don't have their fathers, so they would never get it.
Yeah, and then the fathers who are there, many of them are dumb, blind, brainwashed people themselves. Educated, too. The educated ones are the worst.
Oh, man, exactly.
But, man, honestly, I don't think it's not just the parents. Yes, the parents can help. If good parents can help. But I think there are people who they have, like, God allows them to see where people are coming from, And no good-hearted person can long listen to CNN and think, "Oh, we're getting the truth." I can't imagine anybody looking at CNN and seeing how nasty and evil they are, especially in these times where Trump is standing on what's right and bringing out the worst in them by just inviting them to just lie, right? Which is what they're doing.
I don't even call CNN news. I call them a movement.
And it's not just CNN. It's CBS, ABC, NBC, The Hill, which is employing this black female who's casting Trayvon Martin as an innocent, unarmed victim when he was an attacker, according to all evidence. It's crazy.
And you know what? They don't see blacks. Most blacks are intellectually lazy. They will not research nothing on their own. Even like the Breonna Taylor case. There's more that she was part of the investigation, but the media won't release that. They continue pushing that.
I'm sure.
You know, that she's this EMT that rolled in her blue uniform.
They called her an EMT.
Right, you know. But
such an angel.
Was part of, and she was helped to a quite matter of fact. You can go on Brandon Tatum Report, and he had the whole investigation on his website. You can read what happened when they.
You know what I heard? I heard that Facebook censored his Breonna Taylor report. That's what I heard.
And they took it down?
Yeah, that's what I heard. That they took down his correcting the record on Breonna Taylor, according to him.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Unless I'm confusing it with another fake black victim.
You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if they did, because it got from the start of the investigation to when they had the shootout.
Yeah.
It started. They was following her. She was
part of the.
Check out. Yeah, absolutely.
She was
part of the investigation.
Was she a suspect or just a person of interest?
She was. I guess too. I want to say she was on the investigation, so she was being investigated too. So what we call that is that
I don't know.
She was part of the investigation.
Yeah. Well, interesting, Rick. Appreciate it.
No problem, man. And we gotta set the record. Maybe sometimes I think like you. There's no hope for blacks, but Jesse always says there's hope.
Yeah.
You know, so I try and stay focused and teach a lot of these blacks. But like I said, they come out of I believe the public school system is designed to make blacks liberal.
Right. Yeah, of course.
You know,
all people. Thanks, man.
Yeah,
appreciate
absolutely.
you.
Thank y'all. Love y'all, James. Keep up the good work, brother.
All right. Take care. You know, if I have time, I'm going to tell you guys about, I came across this on both revolver.news and on Telegram, perusing Telegram. And it turns out that even New York Times admits that the COVID case numbers seemingly maybe overblown. Interesting. But first, let me get to Mary in San Antonio, Texas, a first-time caller. Wants to know about my thoughts on Candace Owens, I think. Mary, what's up?
Yes, I want to know. I think you're fantastic, first of all. And unfortunately, I have never been able to listen to you till we were forced to stay home for so many months.
I understand.
But I got to hear y'all. Just about.
Blessing in disguise, I guess.
Yes, it was. Listen, I have been researching Candace, and I've been hearing her, her blogs and her debates, which are so cool. And she is pro-Trump. She's so pro-Trump. It's unbelievable. I'm not that pro-Trump, but he's the best thing we got, so we gotta fight for him. So
what's one of your drawbacks with Trump, or one or two or three of your drawbacks?
I don't think he's a strong enough president to fight back the swamp and the things that have happened to our country and the debt. I'm a real conservative from way back.
With debt, with regard to debt? So you don't think that he's strong enough with the swamp or with debt?
No. And immigration, because he could have done way more, especially with the kids. I forgot that movement.
The DACA people.
DACA people.
Are you aware? Are you aware that he tried to repeal DACA and the courts stopped him?
Oh, I'm so crazy, lunatic, right wing, always on the radio, TV, blogs.
Yeah.
I listen to everything, but I think he could have done better. And also his riots.
But answer my question.
The destruction of the country.
Hold on,
he
Mary.
He is not strong enough on the destruction of the country.
Okay. All right. A lot of people agree with you who are even listening to this show, I think. Are you aware that he tried to repeal DACA and the courts stopped him?
Of course.
So you're aware of that. And
Yeah.
then it went to the Supreme Court, and now they said, oh, you can do it, you just didn't do it right, or whatever. So,
Well,
okay.
hopefully he'll still keep saying that. I don't think that he can win anymore because it's been too much defeat. So, and the people who are defeating get stronger and stronger, and that's what I'm
You really
so
think
afraid.
so? You think the people who
Yes.
are fighting him are getting stronger?
Well, some of them are, because look what's happened to our country. That's what I'm so afraid of. I wake up with fear every day. What else is going to happen to our country?
Oh, that's not good.
Anyway.
Don't wake up
No,
with
it
fear.
isn't. Well,
You're a Christian?
What are we supposed to be? What are we are expecting every day? But to hear about the riots and the
Exactly.
destruction.
I actually kind of am fine with what's going on because that's evil revealing itself. That's not strength.
know.
That's not strength,
No,
what they're showing.
It's nothing but evil. But
Yeah.
Okay, I agree with that. 100,000%.
Yeah.
Guess what's winning in most of America? Evil. And,
You think so? You think that's winning when
well,
they're...
in most of the left, cities and states, and so
Yeah. The left
it,
the left has a whole ton of blind brainwashed masses. But
and I live in
but
sanctuary
are you a
city,
Christian?
San Antonio.
Oh man.
It's depressing.
I know.
It's depressing.
And that's in Texas. But
Amen.
but you're a Christian, right, Mary?
Well, yes, I believe in good, evil, God.
So then
hell,
you shouldn't be afraid or dismayed at the enemy that
Well, I'm
looks
not-
like it's
look,
overwhelming?
I'm not into religion, and I'm not really a Christian, but I do believe in good and evil and God
Oh.
and heaven and all
Okay,
that.
but you're
So
a but
I
you're a
don't like that
logical
part.
woman. Mary, you're a logical
Okay.
conservative woman, right?
Yes.
So
But
it's not-
The other thing that I was wondering.
But hold
is
on.
why-
Let me just interrupt briefly, and then I'll let you get to your thing. You said that you're waking up with fear every day, and you're having all these doubts, and you're thinking Trump is not doing enough, and all of that. But you're waking up with fear every day. That's not good. That's gonna.
I know it's not good.
That's
I
not
know
good
it's
for
not
you
good. And I've
or the
been-
country.
I've been struggling with that for years now because I see our country going down.
How long you been
and
listening to Jesse Lee Peterson?
Oh my God! Ever since he was interviewed on Hannity and Prager, and I don't know
Nice.
how many years now. I
Okay.
don't know how many years.
Well, I know you're not like into religion or anything, but maybe you should look into
Well,
his message a little bit more
I do
because
believe in prayer. I believe in everything, but I don't believe in that mantra of Christianity. And
Okay.
oh my God, Catholicism—that's a joke. But
Catholicism
anyway,
is a joke. He said. All right.
It's like public education.
But I'm
I put
telling
them in
you,
the
I'm
same
telling you,
category.
Mary, you say you've been struggling with fear and all that stuff. We are supposed to be overcoming evil because
That's
we're on the
true,
side of
and I
what's
try
right.
it.
And we can't even
That's
just
right.
simply look to Trump to solve our problems. We try to do
I
that with
know, but America is not strong enough right now to
I
fight
know.
anything
That's
because I see it every day in
that's
my
why
neighborhood.
that's why we need
Everything.
individuals to wake up. Have you been hearing the people waking up who've been calling into the Jesse Lee Peterson show who've
Yes,
used to
and
be
I
liberal
and I
and
hear it on the other blogs. It's
Would you-
really
did you
wonderful.
ever
On Prager
imagine-
U.
did you ever imagine that there would be men returning to manhood and morality and responsibility?
That's another thing that scares me more. The men of this country, there.
Have you heard them?
Fortune,
But have you
sorry.
heard them calling into the JLP show?
Yes, I'm very, very. I love to hear.
Isn't
them.
that encouraging?
It is encouraging. I
Yeah.
wish there were more people like JLP and y'all that
Right.
push
But
the man. But let me tell you why
Okay.
I'm depressed every day. Even more so. I work in public education.
oh
That
man.
is more depressing than I'm in the wrong profession, but that's been 32 years. I just can't leave it because there's got to be something righteous in there.
You know what? I encourage you, Mary, to Jesse Lee Peterson has a silent prayer, and he also offers private counseling. It can
Yeah,
help.
I know.
It can help you handle.
My neighbor.
And it's not- and it's not a
staunch
mantra.
Christian.
And it's not a mantra. You don't have to repeat a mantra of prayer or Christianity and stuff. It's just normal stuff. It's just normal getting
Yeah, I
back to
know.
reality. which I think could be
I
good
pray
for
all
you.
the time.
Because back in the good old days, women didn't worry their pretty little heads about politics. And so it's not good or natural for you to be so concerned and depressed about all this stuff. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I know what you mean. Anyway, I'm calling about Candace Owens. I think everybody should push Candace because she is on the right side. Not so much about Trump, but she has that Brexit. Haven't y'all heard about Brexit?
Brexit, yeah. Blacks and Latinos exiting the Democrat Party. How nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's nice.
I was very impressed with.
But it's not just politics. We need a spiritual awakening. That's why I support Jesse Lee Peterson.
She is a Christian.
Huh?
She professes to be a Christian.
That's nice. It's cool. Yeah, I'm glad that she's. I'm glad that she's reminding people that with this Cardi B stuff, that blacks are degenerate, and they are disintegrating in their culture. So I support her in that.
I love that. You should play that one about how
Stay close to your phone, Mary. Are you on a speakerphone or something?
No. I'm going away from my phone. You should play that one about when she talked about the culture, the black culture of that. You know how they have the most deplorable, disgusting, vulgar music and videos and all that.
Yep.
And yet that's what their children and their parents are promoting and they buy and how she says that's all they push. How can they say that they're for the black when they're degrading everybody and themselves?
Exactly.
And,
great point.
I love it. I love the way she tells it like it is. I mean, she doesn't tell anything. Of course, she is a rich woman, a very wealthy a woman that married the right man. But and I'm all for that.
Right.
But she believes in marriage.
You're talking about Candace.
Yes.
Hey.
So she can push all that.
Hey, Mary, let me ask you about Trump. One more question about Trump. I got a text from the Bible go-to guy. I don't know if you're familiar with him. But he wants to know if you think that President Trump wakes up with fear every morning.
Well, how can he? He can't. He's one of the most powerful men in the world, protected by everything possible, and has tons of money. How can he have any fear of anything?
Well,
he is not. He's privileged.
Do you think that? Yeah. Do you think that he's dismayed at what's going on in the country?
Well, he does say he wants. I don't believe in MAGA because how can a country? And I don't believe in MAGA. Because how can a country in this condition gone so far down with the public school system and the colleges and universities, and most of the people, the left, winning so much, how can a country in this condition ever be great again? I'm saying that it can never, because people aren't strong enough, aren't smart enough, they're not intelligent enough anymore. They have dumbed down this country. I lived it for 32 years, and it made me sick.
Mary, I understand what you're saying. So,
how can it be?
Well, I'll tell you, everything that you're saying about present reality, except for maybe about Trump, but, maybe you have some valid stuff about Trump. Everything that you're saying about how degenerated society is, that's true. Mm-hmm. But when you're speaking doubt into the future, when you don't know what the future holds, we're opening the treasure chest, guys. Who do you think?
We don't.
Who do you? No, yeah, exactly. Who do you think the listeners should be heeding more? Someone like you who's saying it's over for the country when you don't know that it's over, or someone like Trump who is fighting every day to make it great again, even if he's doing it in an imperfect way? Who do you think they should listen to, Trump or you?
We're trying in our imperfect way. We're all trying in an imperfect way.
You're voting for Trump, right?
Of course. There's no other choice.
Yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate the call, Mary. Let's talk again.
Thank you for what y'all do. I love you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. God bless you.
You as well. Appreciate you, Mary. Very interesting call. Yeah, Rockshot 100 says they are not winning. That is the bubble that she lives in. Wait for the election. You know, we can't even really lean on the election. I know it's very tempting to be like, oh, all of this evil being revealed, we're going to vote the right way. We have to face evil in every little thing. We can't just lean on just the... I'm not saying that Rockshot 100 is saying that that's what we're doing. But we can't just wait and lean on the election. The election is not in the bag. We need to be fighting for it, right? And we also need to be fighting for what's right, no matter who's president. Because Trump being president, you can't just rest on your laurels and let your life go be sloppy in how you live. You have to be perfect, right? Congrats to Fatty Wat. Strange name. Almost makes me feel guilty even repeating it. But I don't know what that means. But I appreciate you. Take care, Business Bear, fan of the ladies, Sean Breed, Winston Fujimori. And thank you to Joe Maddock, Jimmy DM, Noah's Ark, Kansas, Winston Fujimori again, Evgeny Crosby 2020, just saying, I think is what it says. Clifford C. Clavin, with a C, guys. Beard the Butcher, Pablo DR. Is that Pablo Dominican Republic or Pablo Doctor or just Pablo DR? Shaggy Boy, thank you guys for the support. And by the way, Hot Computer Smell gave a super chat on streamlabs.com/The Hake Report saying thank you for extending to 2 hours. I wish I had more to give, but hopefully this does it for now. Hope you get your monetization back on YouTube. Thank you. I very much appreciate the support, Hot Computer Smell. It's appreciated and it helps. Thank you. Jeannie Bouchard to play with It's Okay to Be White shirt, says Winston Fujimori. I'm not familiar with Jeannie Bouchard, but thank you. Real quick in the last minute, let me just tell you guys that the New York Slimes, the failing New York Slimes, even they admit that, and I told you guys about this in Hake News, that this coronavirus thing, you know how we're doing testing like crazy, testing like mad, and even President Trump has been. We've been testing like crazy, and we're testing more than anyone. Well, the diagnostic test is called I forget what it's called exactly, but it's too sensitive, basically, and it's if you have trace amounts of this virus thing, it could be like the equivalent of just a hair in a room, right? A whole hair that was left in a room long time ago, meaning negligible. It can still catch it, right? It can still catch it, and then you'll test positive for this COVID-19 thing, this Chinese Communist Party virus. Thank you, globalists, for allowing it to spread. And the UN, by the way, UN's WHO. Well, it turns out that up to 90% of people testing positive carried barely any virus in a study of data from Massachusetts, New York, and Nevada, reviewed by the failing New York Slimes. Carried barely any virus. So that means that it's probably the amount of virus that you can ignore this person and just let them live normally rather than quarantining them, isolating them, subjecting them to contact tracing, trying to figure out how did they get this. Last week, the United States on a Thursday recorded 45,604 new coronavirus cases. If about up to 90% of those are barely any virus, then perhaps only 4,500 of those people may actually need to isolate and submit to contact tracing. So the virus is too sensitive. It's too good. It's detecting stuff that doesn't is irrelevant really to normal life. Interesting, huh? Robot Moose gave a diamond. Thank you, man. Appreciate the support. You know, guys, it's been an interesting show. We'll see you tomorrow, Wednesday. TheHakeReport.com for my stuff. JesseLeePeterson.com for Jesse Lee Peterson stuff. RebuildingTheMan.com/church. RebuildingTheMan.com/church. It is a church unlike any other. It's not the regular fake Christian mantra. It's real. So check that out. It has the silent prayer, and then you can also link to find the counseling information. Counseling with Jesse Lee Peterson. Very nice. All right, guys, take care.
To this day.